how we couldn't get pork chops, so we made chitlins a delicacy. Well, in the same vein, we had African American leaders, primarily coming out of our religious community, ministers like Absalom Jones and Richard Allen, who at the end of the 18th century, while we were still struggling with slavery and disconnects of all sorts, created, out of their religious fervor, mutual aid societies.
Richard Allen, along with a number of other Black Methodist bodies that came together, formed the African Methodist Episcopal Church and had our first general conference in 1816. The AME Church, initially started from what we like to consider as the first sit-in Philadelphia in 1787, led by Richard Allen, Absalom Jones, and some worshipers at St. George's Methodist Episcopal Church, where they were not welcome to worship freely. After they completed their prayer, they walked out. And they started the Free African Society, which was a benevolent society that was really focused on caring for those that really were having trouble caring for themselves.
The Free African Society's Articles of Incorporation, written in the spring of 1787, called out a concern with health and wellness that resonates across the centuries as they stated, "A society should be formed without regard to religious tenets, provided the persons lived an orderly and sober life, in order to support one another in sickness and for the benefit of their widows and fatherless children."
African Americans pool their funds that we might be able to bury our dead, that we might be able to take care of the widows, that we might be able to provide some health care for the youth.
We can find mutual aid societies providing protection, providing funds for food, for education, libraries, homes that were founded for orphans of color who had nowhere to go, who couldn't be part of orphanages that served white people. All of these sorts of things, as at the same time they were fighting against slavery.
In the very beginning, I mean, the black church was everything to the African American. I mean, it was a place where we did our theology, of course, and our politics. It was our conservatory of music. It was everything for the African American family and the African American child.
The gospel of Jesus Christ is about wholeness for people. If you look at Jesus in the Gospels, as the story is told, he's always concerned about the wellness of people. People who were blind, he wanted to have sight. People who were deaf, he wanted them to be able to hear. People who were crippled, he wanted them to be able to walk straight. And people who were even having issues with emotions, he wanted them to be whole.